Hello! Sveta is having trouble building her family happiness. Her boyfriend cheats on her, but the girl can't stop loving him and endures the humiliation. She plunges herself into work at a company that supplies humanoid robots to Russia from Japan. She can't tell them from real people, and one of them, unique because of its software malfunction, understands Sveta like nobody ever has. Is love between human and machine possible, or can such a relationship only teach an important life lesson? A commercial is played on the screen, showing men and women whose bodies are astonishingly beautiful. The slogan reads, "They are just like you, and even a little better." These are the new generation of robots that Vadim Sergeyevich is going to sell in his store. He conducts a job interview. Svetlana used to work in car sales, and now wants to experience something more interesting. She gets the position and excitedly goes home, where she lives with her boyfriend Boris, a fitness trainer. He, however, wasn't expecting her to come so early. A woman comes out of the shower, whom he introduces as his trainee.
Контрастный душ закончили? У нас какие там проблемы? Бицепс бедра, верхняя ягодичная.
Despite this performance, what's going on is obvious to both of them. It's not the first time the guy cheats, but Sveta is too timid to say anything of substance. She only looks at the boy with eyes full of tears. Then Boris, without waiting for the girl's reprimands, begins to scold himself.
Что ты меня обнимаешь? Ты меня бить должен вот так вот.
He gets angry and starts kicking himself out of the house, and the dumbbell he threw out the window falls right on their neighbor's car. But even for this damage, Sveta wants to pay herself. And Boris finally informs her that he cannot take it any longer and breaks up with the girl himself. The next day begins her first day at work, and Sveta is accompanied by her colleague Victor, who shows her the robotics. Her task is to activate them for the first time, checking the barcodes on their neck against the list. Among them are a fitness trainer, a model, a cook, and even a governess, who jump out of the boxes and begin to perform their functions. But one of them, the universal model friend, behaves very strangely and refuses to follow orders.
Мне приснился кошмар. Будто вы меня выключаете. У вас в руках пульт.
He says he is very scared and wants Sveta to pack him back inside. The girl assures the robot that he is safe and no one wants to harm him. She shows it to Victor, who examines the strange specimen and finds a system error of 102. The engineer sees such an error for the first time, and according to the instructions, the defective product must be sent back to the manufacturer. The robot only gets more afraid, complaining of chills, and is now convinced that he will be eliminated, just like the rest of the defect creations. He accepts his death, and with tears in his eyes, thanks the green-eyed, kind-hearted beauty for a few hours of life. This touches Sveta to her very soul, but Victor does not succumb to the pretty appearance, and reveals to his boss that along with the error, he discovered melancholy. Vadim Sergeyevich is not going to take any risks, and wants to send the robot back to Japan. But Sveta begs him to keep it, and attempt to sell it at a discount.
Ну, конечно, давайте его продадим. А он потом провода перегрызет кого-нибудь или на ковре насыт. О, видишь, ржет. Точно насыт.
Eventually, she manages to convince her colleagues that she will sell it herself and make money for the company. The girl goes to work at the hall, where she presents the robot to a customer. This model can be a trainer, a cook, and a driver, and you don't have to explain anything to it. The robot is equipped with a program that adjusts to the owner's emotions, gestures, and character, guessing all their desires in advance. The android shamelessly jokes and flirts with the woman, and she is clearly tempted to make a purchase, but says she will have to think about it until tomorrow. Later, the robot approaches Sveta and apologizes for blowing the sale with his bad jokes. He praises the girl, whose self-esteem is gradually rising after the breakup and her ex's cheating. Then the robot confesses that he purposely wanted to scare off the buyer in order to stay with Sveta, and asks her to be his owner. The girl says she can't afford to spend that much money, so the android kisses her. But Sveta feels too many conflicting emotions and runs away in shock. She goes to the public presentation of the company, where the properly working robots take to the podium to the applause of the audience. Afterwards, Vadim Sergeyevich gets drunk and brags about his success to Victor and Sveta. The guy offers to drive everyone home in his car, while the boss falls asleep in the back seat. His colleagues sing songs, and Victor invites Sveta to go to a concert together, but she avoids answering. The car stops in front of Svetlana's house, and the boss volunteers to escort her to the door while the driver is waiting outside. At the entrance, he begins to complain about the meaninglessness of life, despite all his success at work. He asks to use the bathroom, and right after that, falls asleep on Sveta's couch. In the morning, he apologizes to the subordinate and tries to make excuses for his absence to his wife. Sveta goes to work, where she with sorrow discovers that the defective robot has been bought, and Victor is extremely unfriendly towards her. He had been waiting in the car until 4 in the morning.
Что ты такой дерзкий?
Ну видишь ли, даже я иногда ошибаюсь в людях. Вот так вот.
The colleague has assumed that she seduced her boss during the night to advance her career. Sveta has no answer to this and gets distracted by a text message. It is a parting letter from the robot. The poem, "Farewell, my friend, farewell."
В этой жизни умирать не ново. но и жить, конечно, ненавидь. Твой дефективный.
The girl listens to it on repeat over and over throughout the day, and in the evening finds the phone of the woman who made the purchase and asks her to pass the phone to the robot under the pretext of checking on him. He complains that the new landlady makes him wear silly costumes, and the next day, the defective robot is returned to the salon. According to him, yesterday he had spoken out to the mad wench, who had been using him as a toy. But it turns out that he actually went even further, and the woman complains to the company director about the psychological trauma the defect robot has caused her. Vadim Sergeyevich is ready to rip the head off the piece of metal that threatens to bury his entire business.
Я вас очень прошу.
Ты чё? Ты кого защищаешь? Фен говорящий? Иди тостер пожалей.
Хорошо.
He hits the robot and orders it be sent back to the factory. But Sveta stops the man, saying that she is buying it herself. The robot costs 9 million rubles, and she has to sell her car, borrow money from her friend and mother, and take out a loan. But everything works out, and a happy Sveta takes the bus home with the purchase. And before going to bed, they choose a suitable name for the robot together.
Егор. Может, тебя Егор зовут?
Так я поэтому и отозвался.
In the morning, Sveta wakes up to the sizzling of an omelet in a frying pan and looks at Yegor with amorous eyes while he manages the stove. During the day, he misses the girl and cheers her up with sweet massages. And in the evening, he meets her from work at the bus stop. But Sveta doesn't rush things yet, despite the robot's insistence. One day, her friend Katya, who helped her pay for the expensive purchase, tells her about her boyfriend. She is sure that the man is going to propose to her tomorrow at her birthday and invites Sveta and her new boyfriend to attend the event. While Sveta is out of the house, her ex-boyfriend Boris returns to get his things. Yegor guards the house and meets the stranger with a punch in the nose. But after the fight, the men reconcile, and the robot introduces himself as Sveta's brother. Boris begins filming a vlog in which they compete in exercises on the bar, and then go out for drinks together. After that, the rampaging drunk Boris is spotted by the police. Sveta, who saw the broadcast on the internet, also shows up there. The men are about to be taken to the precinct, but the girl assures the policeman that one of them is her robot, and asks Yegor to prove it. But he merely keeps amusing himself and doesn't listen to its owner. Then the girl finds the remote control and simply turns him off. Upon returning home, Yegor becomes extremely upset at Sveta for treating him this way, saying that he needs permission to spend his time the way he wants to.
Продай меня, вернись к парню своему, планку встаньте, пресс покачайте.
But when the girl assures him that there is nothing between her and her ex-boyfriend, the robot lets go of his grudges and kisses Sveta again. This time, she doesn't run away. Together, they go to Katya's party, but at the most solemn moment, it turns out that the boyfriend had no intention of making a proposal, and the girl runs off stage in tears. Sveta comforts her and asks Yegor to keep an eye on Katya so she doesn't get drunk, while she's looking for the man so he can explain his actions to the birthday girl. She finds him and discovers that the guy is more interested in the friend who has come to see him from America to Moscow than he is in Katya. Sveta returns to her friend, finding that she and Yegor are already having fun together under the table. Blogger Boris, who is also present at the club, films Sveta throwing a cake in her traitor friend's face and then trying to hit her with a champagne bottle. Instead, she misses and hits Yegor in the jaw, exposing his microcircuits to the audience.
Да, Катя. Я купила робота.
А я думала, что это у меня все плохо.
On the way home, Sveta calls Victor to help fix the robot, who apologizes and says it was a stupid mistake. Despite all the pain, she refuses to scrap or reboot it. Then a colleague offers to simply replace Yegor's broken face, and she agrees. While the new part heals, they go out for tea. Victor explains why the robot cheated.
То есть ошибка в том, что он настраивается не только на меня, а...
На всех.
The guy tries to win Sveta's affection, but she is still completely captivated by Yegor. But when she returns home, she is greeted by a robot with the face of a complete stranger. The girl does not like this, so she goes to work to get Yegor's old appearance back. There, she discovers that she has been denied access to the building, and her boss informs her that Sveta has been fired. The video from the party has gone viral, and it hurts the company's image. At home, Yegor gets offended that his appearance was so important to the girl. Sveta really doesn't feel anything at all and treats the robot coldly. A few days later, Sveta ambushes Victor on his way out of work and demands that he give her a pass to steal a robot face from the warehouse. He agrees to help, and they find the right body part, only to run into the supervisor, who was spending the night in the warehouse with a robot model at the time. Vadim Sergeyevich lets them take the robot's face, but for this, he fires Victor. The guy gives Sveta a ride home and offers to stay with her and take her robot apart for spare parts. But Sveta just thanks him and hurries to bring back her defective beloved. The next days are spent in love and understanding. The couple uses their online popularity after the Katya incident to blog about the first open human-robot relationship, which is followed by millions of people. One day, Yegor proposes to Sveta on a live broadcast. Later, he repeats his question without any witnesses to make sure. The wedding day arrives.
Выйдешь за меня?
Да.
Слушай, официально же не получится.
On which Vadim Sergeyevich presents a certificate for a replacement face. And Boris confesses that he is also saving up to buy himself a wife. Among the guests is Victor, who still hasn't given up hope of Sveta's love. And he tells Yegor to his face that the scrap man doesn't deserve her. And a few minutes later, the robot again tunes to another woman at the most inappropriate moment.
Согласны ли вы взять в жены Светлану?
А вы согласны дать мне свой телефончик?
The guests are shocked, and Sveta asks Victor to bring her a remote control to reset her fiancé. Left in privacy, she asks the robot why he did this to her. The girl starts gloomily brooding over recent events, beating herself up over them. In response, Yegor, exactly copying Sveta's ex's reactions, tries to shift the girl's anger towards himself. He declares that she wanted this all along, to feel sorry for the defective robot, then feel sorry for herself after he cheats on her, and her life will never change unless Sveta gains some pride and stops humiliating herself. Victor comes back and explains that he has found out more about the 102 error. The essence of it is that the robot tunes itself to the person whose voice it hears first upon activation, and he confirms Yegor's words. Since Sveta only gets attached to men who hurt her, everything the robot did was the result of tuning to her. Yegor snatches the remote control from Victor's hands and gives it to Sveta, who is throwing a tantrum.
Да все ты можешь, отправь меня обратно в Японию на утиль. Меня там починят, и мне так будет легче.
The girl pulls herself together and begins to type in the code that resets the robot to its factory settings. Before losing his memory, Yegor kisses Sveta goodbye. Everything happens like in the nightmare he told her about while lying in the box. The girl presses the last button, and the light in Yegor's eyes goes out. 6 months later, Sveta wakes up in her house to the sizzling of an omelet in the kitchen. Victor prepares breakfast, and they agree to go to a movie in the evening. Suddenly, she receives a notification on her phone, and the girl goes to the restroom to secretly watch a video from Yegor. The robot begins it by saying that if Sveta received this message, he has already been disposed of. But this all turns out to be his defective sense of humor again. Yegor has been reset in the factory, but his memory is not gone.
Помню, как ты мне бутылкой долбанула. Но вот то, что ты меня с другим лицом не полюбила, я тебе никогда не прощу.
He sings her a song that he wrote just for her. With tears in her eyes, Sveta kisses the smartphone screen. As always, look for the name of the movie in the description of the video. In the meantime, let us know what you think in the comments. Can human-robot relationships replace conventional ones in the future? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video so that more awesome stories come out as often as possible.